We have Speaker Mike Johnson, Speaker of the House, with us now. Mr. Speaker, appreciate you making the time, sir.
Hey guys, great to hear your voices. Good to be with you.
You too. All right, let's start with this. The SAVE Act. What would this do? Why do Democrats oppose it, and where does it currently stand now that the House has weighed in?
Yeah, we weighed in last night. We passed it out of the House with 198 House Democrats voting no. And guess what they voted no to, guys? They voted against the legislation that would very simply and very clearly ensure that only Americans get to decide American elections. What a concept. 198 House Democrats voted to allow illegal aliens to vote in American elections. That's exactly what happened. Only 5 Democrats joined us. Here's the problem. We have non-citizens who are registering to vote in federal elections, and we have a big one upon us in November, right? We know that Joe Biden has allowed, by our count, probably as many as 16 million illegals to come across that border since he walked into the Oval Office and began to open it wide. If just a fraction of those actually go to register to vote and participate, they can throw a congressional race. They can throw the balance of the majority in the House or the Senate. They might even affect presidential race outcome if enough of them participate in swing states. And so that's a real problem. So we passed legislation to ensure that anyone who registers to vote has to have proof of citizenship before they can get on the voter roll.
Which is a totally logical, reasonable bill that Democrats are opposed to, which makes you raise your eyebrows and ask why, as you guys are doing. Speaking of raising eyebrows, Attorney General Merrick Garland will not turn over the audio version of the interview Robert Hur did of his alleged classified documents holdings. And as part of that, basically Hur said that Biden was an elderly man with a poor memory, and that's why he wasn't being charged with a crime, despite the fact that he willfully retained those documents. You guys are holding Merrick Garland in contempt, variety of different bills going through right now. I think you just had a recent vote. Where are we there? Where are we going? Where should we go as it pertains to Merrick Garland and these audio files of the interview?
Yeah, it's a great question because it's a lot to keep up with. We've got multiple angles on this because in the House, we're trying to use every tool in the arsenal to ensure that Attorney General Garland follows the law and that we can fulfill our constitutional duty. We need the tapes of the special counsel hearings with interview with President Biden because they gave us the transcript. But we have no idea of knowing whether the audio of that actually matches the transcript. And in order to fulfill our constitutional duty of oversight over the special counsel and his decision, we have to have it. So Merrick Garland, we sent an appropriate, very lawful, kind of run-of-the-mill subpoena to the Attorney General, and he will not turn over that tape. Now, we have some suspicion as to why. How is Joe Biden going to sound on that tape? Probably very much like he looked on the debate stage, right? But you can't, that's not a reason for him to withhold it. He has no legal reason or no valid argument to not turn it over to Congress. So we held him in contempt several weeks ago on the House floor. We filed a lawsuit in federal court less than 2 weeks ago to enforce our subpoena. And we're looking at inherent contempt. One of the first efforts at that, which is a more kind of direct measure, was brought on the floor today. We came a little short of that, but we're not giving up. We have got to hold this AG accountable because they are a lawless administration, and they are affecting the people's faith in our system of justice itself, and that's the greatest threat.
Mr. Speaker, what would you say to somebody who points out that there's a perception, maybe it's a reality, that when it comes to contempt of Congress, Democrats get away with it, Republicans get sent away for it? As in, if you're in Trump's orbit, you go to prison for contempt of Congress. But when it comes to Democrats, there's a history now of Democrats who defy the will of Congress and could be charged with contempt in a criminal fashion as well. Is it just as simple as their team's in power, they use it more, our team's not in power, we think about it? Well, what's the reality of this?
That's actually a pretty good summary of it, and it's very alarming for you to say it and for me to acknowledge it, right? Because our whole system is built on the idea that we have equal justice under law. There's not two-tiered system of justice, and you don't get to put on one jersey for one team and play the game that way at the Department of Justice itself. But that's exactly what Merrick Garland has done. They have weaponized all the agencies of federal government, including the Department of Justice. And it's a serious problem. We call it lawfare. President Trump has been, of course, the victim of this, everybody in his orbit. And because they have those levers of power, because they have the executive branch, the DOJ is an executive branch agency, they're using it to go after political opponents. It's unconscionable. And as I've said, I think it's one of the most dangerous things that's happened under the Biden administration because people are losing their faith in the system of justice itself. And to keep a constitutional republic, that is one of the fundamental things that you must keep. You must have it.
We're talking to the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson. You have been around Joe Biden in your official capacity as Speaker of the House. I know you were quoted in the Wall Street Journal piece that the Democrats tried to claim was out of context when it said that Biden was not sharp mentally and physically. Do you think Biden right now should be president of the United States? Or do you think he should step down?
Has the capability to be president, right? I mean, more.
Yeah. Like, does he have the capability mentally and physically to be president, or should he step down? And do you think he will be and or should be the nominee going forward? How would you assess, based on your experience, Biden's mental and physical capacity now and going forward?
Evaluated purely on that capacity, evaluation, no, he should not. He is not on his A game. I'll say it as charitably as I can. Everybody can see this for themselves. I have had a couple of, one-on-one meetings with him. I've had, conversations with him over the last 8 months that I've been speaker, sporadic, because his staff is very protective and would not ever allow me to just have a conversation that wasn't monitored and controlled in some way by the people around him. Now, in hindsight, I understand why. But, he's clearly aging very rapidly, and it's not a personal thing. It's just, it presents a real peril for us and for all of our allies. The NATO summit is going on in Washington, D.C. this week, the 75th anniversary of that big alliance, and all our friendly and allied nations are in town. All the prime ministers and my counterparts, speakers of these other parliaments and houses around the world, and they all come in privately and shake their heads and say, "What the heck is going on?" Because they're fearful for themselves. If America projects weakness on the world stage, which is obviously what Joe Biden is doing right now, it's a mockery. That jeopardizes freedom around the globe because the perception of a strong America is the only thing since World War II that has kept the terrorists and tyrants at bay. And right now, you see Russia, China, Iran, North Korea, Venezuela, Cuba. All the nations that hate freedom and hate us are being very aggressive, and they're making big plans, and that's a very dangerous situation for all of us.
You're the Speaker of the House. Reports out there that Biden's basically only able to do his job from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. We know that he told the governors recently, the Democrat governors, hey, I need to get more sleep. I need to be in bed at 8. If you only did your job from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m., and if you went to bed at 8 o'clock every night, what percentage of your job would you be able to do as Speaker of the House?
Oh, the job would not be possible. This job and that one require a almost literal 24-hour-a-day vigilance. There are many nights when I get 3 or 4 hours of sleep a night. It's just what the job requires. My schedule, and I'm the Speaker of the House, he's the President of the United States. My schedule is built in 10-minute increments almost every day. There is no downtime. I haven't had a day off since October 25th, And to be the commander-in-chief and to be the leader of the free world, which is what that being the commander-in-chief of the President of the United States is, you must be on your A game. You have to project strength. There must be a perception that you can do the job at any hour of the day. And he simply cannot. And it's not a slight to him personally. It is an objective fact. And now you have Democrat leaders acknowledging it. They've just suddenly noticed it, guys. They've known this all along for the last 3 years. They're in panic right now, but the American people have been in panic for much longer because we've seen it, and now everybody's seen it, and it's undeniable.
Mr. Speaker, how do you think Republicans in the House are looking going into the election cycle right now? What do you think the strengths and weaknesses are of being able to maintain the majority?
I think we're in excellent shape. Before all of this, Brooke, before the debate, the polling was already affirming what we've known intuitively. I've traveled so far to, I think it's over 140 cities doing events now in 31 states or something like that over the last 6 months. I go to all the candidates' districts and our incumbents, and we're doing that job. There's something happening out there, guys. We're seeing a demographic shift going on like we've not seen in our lifetime. We have a record number of Hispanic, Latino voters, black voters, African Americans. I mean, the Jewish community is so energized. They're coming into the Republican camp. Why? Because they feel like the Biden Democrats and the progressive woke agenda and all of that has done a great disservice to all of them and their and what's good for them and their families. And the Biden's abandoned Israel. All these things. So all these factors are happening at the same time. And then you have the debate. And then you have the glaring distinction between Trump and Biden, between two men who have actually been president. Okay, we haven't had this matchup since the late 1800s. Two men running for president who have already done it. And so people are looking past the rhetoric, they're looking past the talking points, and they're looking at how they're doing. Was I and my family doing better under President Trump's administration or President Biden's? And it's not even close. And so all that is to say, we're very bullish about November. I'm absolutely convinced Donald Trump's going to the White House. I think we're going to retake the Senate for the Republican Party. I'm absolutely convinced we're going to grow the House majority for the Republicans. We'll have unified government, and we'll be able to fix all this.
How's LSU going to do this year, most importantly, I bet, to your constituents?
It's great. I'm always watching it. I have a jersey above my desk in the Speaker's office. It says, Mr. Speaker, it's an LSU 1 jersey. I'm the first speaker from Louisiana, so they honored me with that. Look, the Tigers are always going to be competing for the Natty. That's football. That's our thing. And in all our sports, we're just dominant university. So I think football season looks pretty good. I'm gonna say we're gonna be competitors all the way to the end.
I agree with the speaker. It's going to be a great year for LSU. Mr. Speaker, we appreciate you making the time, sir. Thanks so much.
You got it, my friends. Good to talk to you.
Let's talk about Tunnel to Towers Foundation. They do incredibly important work, and you need to know the stories of the people that they are helping and their families. Jerry Padgett enlisted in the U.S. Navy and deployed multiple times to Iraq and Afghanistan. While on patrol in Afghanistan, Jerry was injured by an improvised explosive device blast. He suffered a spinal cord injury, a traumatic brain injury, and audio and visual impairments, but he lives today after a long recovery. Nothing can reverse the damage done to Jerry's body. But through the Tunnel to Towers Foundation, we can honor heroes like Jerry in gratitude for their tremendous sacrifices. We understand the price of freedom and respect the brave men and women who put their lives on the line defending it every day. Thanks to friends like you, Jerry and his family moved into a smart home at the Foundation's Let Us Do Good Village in Florida, where he can live independently thanks to technology and special construction. Nothing can repay the price of freedom, but your donation can change the lives of those who selflessly sacrifice for our communities and our country. Join Clay and me in donating $11 a month to tunneltotowersT.org. That's T, the number 2, T.org.